Welcome everybody to the RC Adventure channel. For the first video in the series, we're going to be making and installing a winch and an axial SCX24. Now, the installation part will vary depending on what truck you're putting it in, but the actual making of the winch itself should be about the same regardless of what servo that you're working with. So for starters, the materials you're going to need. Any micro servo should work the same. In fact, now would be a great time to actually upgrade your steering servo so you can use the old steering servo to make your winch. For the winch drum, just an old plastic bobbin like this one that I've somehow had kicking around for years. A little bit of super glue, some brass tube. You could also use aluminum or some other stuff. It's just got to make sure that it's big enough for your string or cable or whatever you're using to go through it, with plenty of extra room because you are going to be bending this and you don't want to kink and pinch your string. Last but not least, you may need some wire to make a hook. You may also be able to find a hook available at your hobby shop. I haven't been able to find a 1/24th scale one, so I'm going to make the hook for it. Tool wise, just your standard issue RC car toolkit. A Dremel tool I think is going to come in handy here. Other than that, the truck, and you'll of course have to have your transmitter on hand with batteries in both. So let's get going. First order of business, we need to take the servo arm off and attach it to the bobbin in the most secure way possible, because there's going to be a bit of stress on this. All right, so the crazy idea I have here is to take the servo arm, attach it to a Dremel, use a small file, kind of like a lathe, to turn the diameter down till it fits inside the bobbin. We'll see if this works, or if it fails miserably. Well, there you go, that worked alarmingly well. All right, so to make sure that the string stays attached securely, there's a little tiny hole near the center of the bobbin here. I think this was part of the winding mechanism maybe on a sewing machine, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to go from the inside out through the little hole and then back through the bigger hole. Then I'm going to take a little plastic piece, and it's probably going to be tight. And it looks like it's going to require some persuasion. There we go. All right, so once I've filled the bobbin, I just take a tiny drop of super glue and put it right inside there, just to make sure that that new plastic centerpiece doesn't come off the bobbin. Also, feel free to give yourself plenty of extra string right now. You can always cut it shorter, can't make it longer. So the next thing to do is to modify your servo. This is this old GWS narrow something standard servo. I've had this thing for like 18 years now. Just been sitting around not doing anything. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the screws out of the bottom. Here, every servo I've ever taken apart looks like this one, so this should be a fairly universal sort of mod, but your servos may be different. With the 4 screws out of the bottom, your servo should come apart into 3 pieces. You should have a bottom, then there's a middle, and you gotta be very careful. The top is holding the gear train. We don't want to lose any pieces here. So with all the gears out of the way, these are the 2 pieces we're going to focus on. We have the potentiometer, which is this shaft sticking out right here, and this is the output shaft for the servo. This is what your arm attaches to. The potentiometer tells the brain and the servo what position the arm is in, and they are attached kind of like so. Now in this case it seems to be a slip fit. Most of the others I've seen are a key, so what we need to do is enlarge the hole here so that the output arm can rotate freely on this shaft. Once I've drilled the hole, I'm going to test it and make sure that it fits on there loose now. That it's not turning the potentiometer, and that even if I push on it in there, it still doesn't. So good, that's working. The next thing to do is to find the exact center on the potentiometer in here. We're going to do this by taking our transmitter, putting channel 3 and switch in the middle, and then we're going to plug the servo in to the aux port. And you hear the motor running because it's trying to center up the arm. So we're going to do that manually here. Once the motor stops running, we'll know we're in the center. And we just put some super glue in there. Hopefully that freezes it so that it doesn't try to move on us. With the potentiometer frozen up, we now go ahead and reassemble the servo. This is also a great time to grab some marine grease. And we're going to put it on the output shaft of the servo to help keep water out. And we're also going to put it around some of the edges of the body parts of the servo and the base to keep water out of there as well. Now that it's reassembled, time to find out if I screwed up a perfectly good servo or not. One thing I didn't show, make sure that there's no mechanical limit going on inside your servo, otherwise it won't spin freely. Let's see. Flip the switch one way, just keeps on going, that's what we want. Center the switch, pretty much stops. Go the other way, just keeps on going. Center the switch and it stops, that's what we want. It does keep humming and moving very slowly. Hopefully it's going to be moving in the direction of winding up the spools and not unwinding it. The location I've selected to install the servo is going to be right here underneath the battery tray on the vehicle's left side. Now this servo doesn't quite fit. The battery tray arm is in the way. If I hadn't already made another modification to this, I could just go ahead and cut that off, and 3 of these arms are more than enough. I've been running around like this for several months now and it's just fine, but if I cut the other front one off, then I'll only have 2. So I'm going to have to do this a little different. If you haven't already modified the other side of it though, or you're not planning to put a different motor in or anything like that, just go ahead, use the wire cutters, cut that arm off, stick the servo under there and be done with it. I'm going to keep a little pressure underneath the servo just to keep it up and flush. Try to push it into position and pray that this goes right. Otherwise, I may be screwing up my whole truck now. Also make sure that the glue does not get anywhere near the servo's output arm over here, otherwise it'll get in there and it'll seize that up, and that's really not gonna that's not gonna help you any. You're not gonna like that. There we go. Seems to be in there pretty solid. A double-sided foam tape would probably work for this too. I just don't have any right now. Next step is to take a small piece of brass tube like this one, and you're gonna have to figure out how to route it so it comes out roughly the center of your bumper, goes underneath the frame and suspension and around everything. It cannot interfere with any of your suspension or steering. Comes out over here, pretty close to the drum. I'm going to mark it. I'm going to cut it off there. I'm going to solder it to the top of the brass bumper that I've made up here. If your bumper is anything other than brass, you could probably glue it. If it's aluminum, J&B weld should work just fine. Plastic, same thing. You could probably use super glue also, that would work. But if you have a brass bumper, go ahead and solder it. It'll be the strongest connection you're going to get. Once your brass is cut to length, make sure to use a X-Acto knife or a file or deburring tool of some sort and get inside there and take all those burrs out of the inside. If there's any sharp edges on there, they're just going to cut right through your string over time. All right, with the guide tube in place, last thing to do is just to secure the back end of it right here to the frame. A small zip tie would work. I don't have any of those handy right now, so I'm just going to use a small piece of string. And there we have it. The winch part is installed. Just got to make up a hook to go on it. Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is the string on here. This is a number 346 or size 346, whatever they call it. Thread that's used for stitching leather. So this is not your typical fabric store stuff. You want to go somewhere like Tandy Leather to get it. I'll see if I can include a link in the description so you can find it easy. So to make the hook, I'm just going to take a piece of this wire that I've had sitting around. It looks to be maybe 1/16 inch diameter music wire, or piano wire, whatever you want to call it. Readily available at the hobby shops if you have to buy it. And I'm just going to use the tip of the needle nose pliers to make a loop on one end. Then on the other end, I'm just going to make a hook. And there we go, there's my hook. Nothing super fancy, probably not the prettiest looking thing around. Just need to make sure this eye is completely closed so the string doesn't come off the end, and make sure that the hook end is big enough so that you can actually, work with the thing, get your fingers on it and stuff. Once I've got the hook tied to the end of the string, I'm going to use a small amount of thin super glue on the knot just to make sure that the knot doesn't come undone on me. There we go, then just trim the excess and we are good to go. Now, of course, it wouldn't be fair to upgrade my truck without letting my boys upgrade theirs. And this is one of the things I really like about these micro crawlers. They're inexpensive, they're easy to work on, they don't go super fast, which makes it easy for kids to drive them, and they can learn some basic mechanical skills along the way. Also, if nothing else, just a great way to share your hobby with your kids, spend time with them, have fun. Well, yeah, all right. What do you say? Want to go? Let's go have some fun, huh?
Yeah, let's go have some fun.
So here's the spot. My wife and I bought this a couple months ago. We're going to put our house on it when we finally retire. We've been waiting a couple months for the construction project to finish up. They put this culvert in, you can see behind me here, as well as the stream over here. It gives the fish better access to the lake right across the street. So unfortunately it's starting to freeze over now, so we won't be able to take the boats out there. But the stream over here hasn't frozen yet, so should be good to go on that one. I've been kind of wanting to try it ever since we bought this spot, so should be fun. As usual, the two certain somebodies here have not waited for me and are already running theirs around. Huh? Aren't you guys? So what do you guys think of the winch?
It's cool, I like it.
What do you think?
I don't even,
Cat got your tongue, huh?
Yep.
Are you shy, huh? What do you think? Should everybody install one on their crawler?
Sure.
Do
yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Finally, some enthusiasm over here. So what do you guys think of our lot? Is that a good spot for running RC cars and trucks and planes and boats and all that stuff around?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, that's enough of the enthusiasm. I say be more enthusiastic and this is what I get. Hey, if you guys like that video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more like this, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know when the next video is up and running, that's what the bell icon's for. Till next time, what do I always say, Nathan? Not having fun until you break something?
Yeah.
Right?
You fix it.
Then we fix it. You are right.
Yep.
Got a high five. High five.
Put upgrades. Make your truck more cooler.
Okay, yep. When you break your truck, it gives you a chance to make it cooler. All right, let's go to bed, huh?